Right, we can see your slide. Maybe you want to
Yes,
go in presentation mode?
yes, give me a moment. Is it okay now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. You can also see my screen?
Yes, but maybe you want to go in presentation mode? Oh, yeah, you're in there now. You're good.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I'm Haridimos Kondilakis. I'm a postdoctoral research is about prostate cancer. So in Europe, actually, prostate cancer is the second most frequent type of cancer and the third most lethal. On the other hand, current clinical practices lack precision. So what we aim for is advanced AI models to go beyond state of the art. However, to work models appropriately, we need data. Unfortunately, those data are fragmented in clinical silos, let's say. So the project actually envisions to accumulate the largest collection of PCA, multiparametric MRIs, anonymized images, and data worldwide, based on data donorship, actually. So the goal and the expectation in OLS3 was actually to build an open metadata repository for storing the metadata of the various datasets. And my expectation was to learn best practices on open data publishing, open science, and metadata. And we successfully implemented a state-of-the-art open source one Molgenis as the most appropriate. We also selected open models, ontologies that we intend to use. We installed Molgenis, we published test data, and we implemented APIs in order to allow other tools in the project to push metadata. And now Molgenis is up and running to be used as the main metadata repository of the project. And through this journey, actually, what we learned is that instead of building custom solutions, rely on the community, explore find something applicable. This is what we did, and we found Molgenis. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Also, discussions with the mentor helped, whereas some other talks like open data, open fair principles, and open science were very enlightening. And many thanks for this. The next steps is to wait for actual data to come from clinical centers of the project, because currently we only have experimented with test data. And please, if you have such data sets available, please share them with us. You will hear from us in the future as we accumulate data and run your models and train them. So many thanks to Harpreet Singh, the mentor, for the kind and discreet guidance. And thank you all for being here. Many thanks.
Thank you so much. Round of virtual applause and sparkly hands. Thank you. Folks, as usual, please leave your questions in the pad, but meanwhile, we will move on to Mishka.
Hi, everyone. Hope this is in full screen mode.
Yes, perfect.
Cool. So I am Mishka Nemes, and I work at the Alan Turing Institute as a training officer. And my project for OLS is called Learning at the Turing Towards an Open Training Infrastructure. So the motivation behind this project started a while back. Thanks to Aida, I guess everybody here has a better idea of what the Turing is, but I just want to highlight that the Alan Turing Institute, where I work, is the National Institute for Data Science and AI in the UK, and that it has three main goals. So advance world-class research, train the leaders of the future, as well as lead a public conversation. And the second remit, the training one, is what falls under my, what I work on the most. And so for about 5-6 years, since the Institute was established, we've been very much working, providing training opportunities internally to our students, our researchers. However, when the pandemic happened, we had to move on all the training that we would deliver in person to online training. And these three things have kind of urged us to think about a way to develop open, accessible, and free training for everyone. So in doing so, we're identifying three main enablers. The first one, enable the community to contribute to training. We can't provide everything in-house. The second one, to enable the train-the-trainer approach, whereby today's learners in a workshop would become tomorrow's instructors in that workshop. And the third one would be to enable open access to training resources. So we went from being very much like inward looking to much more engaging the community and different communities and the different tools such as the carpentries, OLS, Moodle, and GitHub. So the main project goal that I set up for the OLS project was to build a GitHub platform that would allow contributors to engage with, shape out, or make use of the learning that the Turing offer. And these contributions can take lots of shapes. My expectations from the OLS program were to learn the best practices in the open science realm, to identify relevant and trialed resources and materials, to understand what approaches are appropriate for my work, and also to develop a lasting connection with the open community. So the actions and accomplishments I took towards my goals were, before I even considered applying to OLS, I designed, launched, and managed a funding call aimed at online open access training. And one of the main things that we wanted to do through that call was to make sure that absolutely all the training proposals that we award as successful would be open source and accessible following the development. Then starting this year, through the OLS program, but also through interactions with colleagues, training collaborators, OLS mentors, and experts, I learned more about the open science practices and tools, and I also better defined the project goals. Finally, I managed to build a community platform prototype, and I definitely become a much more skillful GitHub user in the last 3 months. Also, probably this is the first project ever where I had the most realistic goals, because they were very much process-oriented as opposed to goal-oriented. I realized it's a lot to learn, so I feel like I achieved that. And yeah, in terms of my journey to open leadership, I first started volunteering for an organization called One Health Tech, which is an open community of health tech professionals and enthusiasts. As soon as I started working on the Turing, I became very inspired by the Turing way in terms of the practices, the community, and everything. I became a carpentries certified instructor last year. And in the OLS2 presentations, I learned about the Turing data stories, which inspired me to apply to OLS. And then through different discussions that I had with colleagues and mentors and the cohort calls, I managed to develop this platform. And in terms of what's next, I think the most important thing right now is to develop this community and manage the community of contributors and develop better guidelines. But it's quite a lot of work, so I'm excited that I have a prototype and that I already have some instructors and contributors. I can start trialing this platform. And yes, I would like to thank Jez, Alexandra, and Malvika for their support during the program and also previous to the program, but also to the OLS community for learning a lot and the GitHub support community. So yeah, thank you. Here are my details.
Thank you so much, Mishka. all the virtual applause and for the wonderful work. Oops, there goes my timer. Fantastic. Next, we will have Sarah.
Hello, everyone. You're all going to be sick to death of hearing about the Turing after this, because I was working on developing an open source service area for the Turing. So I'm going to give yet another explanation of a slightly different perspective on what the Turing is. The Turing is a hub that connects a whole range of universities across the UK, but also a whole range of business and industry partners as well. And we collaborate together to try and solve real world problems with the most cutting edge data science and AI research techniques out there. So we're already kind of like innovating around how research happens, how it collaborates and such. And I saw an opportunity for us to really innovate in how we output our research and help accelerate the broader data science community as well by taking our research outputs and transforming them into upstream open source contributions. So my project was around this service area, a framework with which to kind of disseminate knowledge of the open source community and how you contribute. And like my goals were to embed open practices into Turing research projects. And I wanted to empower Turing researchers to work openly. And I wanted to guide them in transforming their research outputs into those upstream contributions. And I wanted to do this through a framework which allowed them to collaborate with expert open source contributors. I did not do that through a case of lots and lots of mitigating circumstances. But like some of the big key points is that the culture change is really hard. It takes a really long time, much longer than a 16-week program. And it's a lot harder when you're kind of doing it by yourself as well. And I think a lot of this is the original proposal I wrote for this idea was pretty much a software consultancy job. And I think I probably intimidated myself into a bit of inaction. But also I'm having a role change, and tomorrow is actually my last day at the Turing as well. So, and I didn't want to engage with other projects and promise them parts of me that I would then take away from them. So what we did was we had a pivot. We had a pivot to user research based on the philosophy that we can't get to where we want to be until we can understand where we are and properly design the pathways between the 2 points, just so that I'm not putting out frameworks that I say, hey, this works, and everybody at the Turing turns around and says, no, it doesn't. So I wanted to assess the current attitudes and the drivers and barriers towards open working in the Turing before kind of like putting this framework into place or designing it. So this is where OLS came into play. This is the roadmap I have for performing the user interviews. And this was like a really interesting aspect for me because I'm very much a quant scientist, and this is very much qualitative work, but a lot of the same themes, a lot of the same steps you have to go through when doing a research project are still just as applicable. We still had discussions about ethics, proper GDPR handling of the data, getting people's consent, having a data management plan, how we're going to securely store that data, and how this might be replicated by other communities as well. And this is where my connection with my mentor, Meg Doherty, was like super important. I think the thing that made it work so well is that we have a shared vision. We're both trying to work towards these open working practices, but in very different contexts. And she imparted like her skill and wisdom from all of her lived experience and training of doing this in her job for however long to me, who is a new person and like had never done user research before. And a big thanks to Yo as well, who came in as our expert, who is currently doing qualitative research and kind of like gave me the 101 of how you deal with these kind of these user research stories. So what's going to happen next? First and foremost, we're going to take a break. We're going to relax. We're going to decompress a bit. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to reflect and generalize on this. So this work, I think, will be picked up in the Turing. Like, I've definitely handed over this service area to someone else, and all of my strategic thinking around this is available in that GitHub repository to them. But what I also think would be a nice thing to do as well is to generalize what I've written for the Turing into something that other organizations can take and implement to reflect on their own open working practices. And the folks at the Turing can be like the blueprint for how well this works or doesn't work, perhaps. So I'll put some work into creating an open practices toolkit and probably launch that with a blog at some point in the future. So I'd just like to say thank you to the OLS team, to my mentor Meg, and the whole Perseverance cohort. It's been brilliant. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Applauses, reactions. Awesome. Thank you. Next, we have the team of Prakriti, Ujwal, and Mohan.
Hello everyone, I'm Prakriti Karki, an undergraduate student from Nepal, and this is the team of our 3 members, myself, Mohan Gupta, and Ujwal Shrestha. I'm sorry for a little late presentation due to my health issues, and so let's move in our journey to connect rural students to quality education. So Gyan is derived from 2 Sanskrit words, Gyan and Namuna, which combinedly means the model of knowledge. Through this project, we are trying to provide a quality practical education to rural students of Nepal. For now, we have chosen only one school, a Vairapnath school, because we believe in one step at a time. So for the motivation for this is because of the certain problems that's prevalent in the current rural education in Nepal, like the least students in a school, lack of qualified teachers, untrained teachers, lack of resources of teaching, poor school management, etc. So we would like to make a little change in these parameters. So we are based in these mottos like the frugal innovation approach, digital education, compensate the lackings that we have, and the inclusiveness. We make open source DIY hardware like microscopes. We teach the students to make microscopes, and we use DIY DNA extraction protocol, and also teach them to extract DNA. So before joining OLS, I was just driven by the term open science. With the recorded videos, presentations, I learned and realized its importance in developing countries like ours too. So this GitHub is the interested and most important thing I learned during the OLS journey. I found its great importance in several open science projects and found a way to contribute in other people's projects too. So what I learned during the journey is how to integrate open science with non-science projects, and how to identify people sharing common interests and goals and collaborate with them. How can data be shared and improved without any fear? Self-care and love, inclusiveness and open leadership, and many more. So we also got attention in several news media and social medias with our storytelling of our project, which also motivated us to engage in the open science and the project we are doing. Experiences and learnings from OLS journey also motivated me to integrate open science principles in my undergraduate thesis project, through which we are trying to engage poultry farmers, data scientists, microbiologists in wild-type probiotics discovery research. You can also find this project on Zoggle and open science platforms. So this is the simple design of our website. Our works are halted for the moment due to the worst COVID situation in Nepal, and we are full and ready to continue the project as soon as the schools resume, as rural students do not have access to internet at home, so we have to depend on a reopening of their schools. So I would like to thank OLS organizing team, my mentor Teresa Laguna, whole OLS community, all of my friends and families for helping me throughout this journey. And yeah, this is a picture captured when our donation of computers, webcam, internet reached to the school. And thank you again, everyone. Together we can, world just needs a little impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Big round of applause for the team and the wonderful work that they've done. Very inspiring. Next, Afzal, if you are ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Actually, I had to like put off my video because of my poor connectivity. So yeah.
That's all right. I believe your internet is unfortunately acting up. Give it another couple of seconds.
You see my screen now?
Unfortunately, oh, something is happening. It's loading. It's still loading on my end. Maybe you could send your presentation to Malvika.
I already have it open. Absolutely.
Ah, that's perfect.
Absolutely. If you stop sharing the screen, I'll give you access to my screen. Perfect. Let me do that. So that's you. And sorry, I can't find your name. Amy, can you tell me if Afzal has signed in as?
Yeah,
first
as
name?
Afzal.
Okay,
Yeah,
I see it
Afzal,
now.
last name.
Great. Now you can access my screen. You should be able to
Yeah, sure, thanks. Yes, sure. So hi everyone, I am Afzal Ansari with my next mentee Abdul. So my project title is Documentation Enhancement with Open Science Practices at Academy. So this is a collaborative project for us. So for those who don't know about Scadang is a new Python toolbox for machine learning with time series. It provides state-of-the-art time series algorithms and scikit-learn compatible tools for building, tuning, and evaluating complex models. So the goal of my project is to improve Scadang's documentation with a specific focus on documenting algorithm contributors. So go to the next slide, please. So now, how my college journey started and why I'm interested in. I already have it, and I already had an interest on open source to attend one of the Python sprints last year, and I got interest in one of the open source projects, that is Scadang particularly. So I took part in a mentorship program where I focused on the with Scadang. Like working with Scadang. So then, but I wanted to learn more about open projects, that is open science practices, how to collaborate with others. Then I got to know about all this open life science program through Marcus, who is the leader of a street. So I applied program about open skills. I was exposed to new tools, resources, ability that here again to my project development through this college journey. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. Go back to the previous slide. Sorry.
Afzal, you should be able to do that yourself. I've given you access to move my screen.
Sorry again. Just came back now. So yeah, I just came to know about this picture now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so algorithms form a major part of Scadang here. They require special expertise in their development with the existing documentation by making algorithm contributors more visible. So the aim is to make it easier for users and other developers to directly get in touch with the algorithm experts to ask questions or suggest code improvements. So second is to analyze their contributions more visibly and formally to encourage long-term maintenance of contributions. Okay. So, we started our work like an estimator overview in Scadang, linking code. This makes it harder for users when they have questions to ask about any particular code or an algorithm. So yeah, up-to-date documentation in the current computers makes it easier for new users, even us, when we forget. So there was just difficult to find out who the contributor is, how to get in touch. So doing this manually requires lots of work. So whenever an algorithm is added and something changes, so we come up with some solutions like creating a table with algorithm, algorithm maintainer, literature reference, to better highlight contributors to give them more recognition. So yeah, then the last solution, like using automation algorithm, become like to produce we are able to produce things generated documentation. Oh yeah, so now when we started work, when we have here we have a short demo of our project. So you can see here in the picture, like first picture, we have algorithm overview, where you can see the estimator types at the side, at one side, and all this. So we can like directly we can contact with the all the names with respect to the class name. So let me share this screen. The demo of this is possible. No, sorry, that is not actually. Could you like give me yeah, thanks for this.
We may be
Just a
running
minute.
quite close to time actually. So maybe folks
I'm
can
just giving it.
maybe folks can go to the link in their own time, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think we've lost your. Are you, Marcel, is still? Can you still hear us? We might have lost him. Unfortunately. Whoops.
Yeah, Afzal, I think we've lost you. If you could post that link in the Etherpad, then we can maybe look at that later.
Thank you very much for the presentation. You just got a sneak peek of the back end there, but a round of applause for Afzal as well.
I just wanted to put his acknowledgement slide if you wanted to thank Toby, I suppose. Sorry for glitch.
Thank you. Yeah, we would put the link on the Etherpad as well so that folks can go check out your wonderful work as well. Next, I shall hand over to Malvika.
Thank you, Emmy. Thanks everybody who done fantastic job. If you read our back channel messaging, we're almost crying inside. We're so proud of everything you've done. I'm going to move on to our other set of speakers. The next speaker group is from the project House Nlp. Samsudin, we don't hear you, but we see the screen.
Oh yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So thank you very much for having us here. We have from House Nlp project with my colleague Ibrahim and our mentor Laura Carter. So what is House Nlp? So Hausa is a language in Africa, in particular in Nigeria. It's one of the second most popular language spoken in Africa. And natural language processing, which is NLP, is processing of natural language using computer. So when you combine House NLP is how can we analyze or process text written in Hausa language. So the motivation of this project is that not only Hausa, but African languages are heavily underrepresented in natural language processing research in the world. Other languages like English, French, as you can see, you can have something like Siri, which process text. You can have voice recognition. These are all field of AI. But in African languages, we don't have right now. So the motivation of this project is how can we generate data that can be used to actually use in artificial intelligence. So that's the background or motivation of this project. The goals we acquired in this project, we got skills necessary to run and set up this open source project. We also expand our network and collaboration with like-minded in Africa, not only in Africa as well, but in Europe, we have many collaborators. And right now, we set up a community. So this is somehow some of the community members from the project, and the goals achieved and the success are many in this project. So number one, basically we acquired the tremendous amount of experience. We properly structured our project by all means that a project, open source project should have, because of the experience we have through these OLS. And also one of the most important thing is we secure a funding from Lacuna Fund to create language resource. As I've said, one of the problems that we don't have, African languages are not represented in AI is that they don't have enough data to train any AI, because without data, there is no AI. So that's why our languages doesn't actually capture in AI field, despite the fact that there is significant advancement. So right now we got a funding that we started working to create language resources for not only Hausa, but 3 most dominant languages in Nigeria called Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. We also got some expert guide, because as we scale this funding, this is our first funding. We don't know how to actually manage it. So we asked our mentor, and we had 2 sessions from experts on how we can spend and do our project. And also we got Google support for cloud credit. So after we gather our data, we create data, we will do some kind of machine learning and deep learning stuff to understand some text automatically. And Google support us because they are in one way the funders for Lacuna project. So they also offer us Google Cloud Credit that we can use to train deep learning. Also, other partner from Lacuna Fund is Data Ethics, and also they support us. And we had many sessions on how we can develop bias-free, ethical-free data that doesn't actually have any ethical concerns. The journey has been quite informative, and our aim is to keep the House NLP as a next step, keep evolving and keep growing. And this is not actually the last stop of our project. All right, and finally, we would like to thank our mentor and also the whole OLSC organizer. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much. If you would stop sharing, we'll show you how great your talk was, and we're super proud of you. Let's show him some jazz hands and sparkles and claps. Amazing work, Shamsuddin and your team. If you all have any question, please add that in the notes, and I will move on to our next set of speakers. It's Mehak and Arvind Preet from India. Arvind, are you able to share it? I think Mehak's screen is frozen.
Oh, okay. Is it fine?
Okay.
Mehak, are you there? No, screen is visible.
Mehak, I think your internet is a bit poor. Arvind, yours looks a bit stable. If you would want to share your screen, I think that would work.
Sure. Mehak, is my screen visible to you?
Good.
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah.
Go for it. Your 5 minutes starts.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Mehak, take off your
Yes.
video. Maybe it's stable then.
Right. Is it fine?
Yeah, perfect. Go for it.
Uh, the rise of obesity has placed the health of entire generation at risk. These are the words from US Secretary of Agriculture. And what if I tell you that if you are obese, then you are at the risk of diabetes? So I am here with my teammate Arun Kaur to present our work which we have done in the past 14 weeks. It's systems genomic integration of diabetes related genes, a quest for developing of biomarkers. Next. So what were the initial goals? We actually wanted to find the common genes among the diabetes, type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and the obesity from the openly available data using the systems biology integration tools. Now to find the correlation between the, like later on the step was to find the correlation among the human gut microbiome and the common genes in selected phenotypes, because we wanted to identify the candidates for rational drug designing. And the later on, the goal was to develop a galaxy.org workflow so that we can share it openly and others may use it. Next. So what was the methodology we used? We were trying to find openly available data sets as much we could, and we were able to find 18 geo data sets of diabetes and 13 geo data sets of obesity. Later on, we tried to find the differentially expressed genes of, and also we have tried to combine an already published study, and from there we have tried to take the genes of the diabetes and obesity which are uh, like which have the positive association with for causing the disease. For once I want to tell you that diabetes is a disease and obesity is a phenotype, and later on post pathogen interactions were found using the standard resources, and after that docking was done. Next. After that, now the first result was to find the candidate genes. So here in the picture you can see that number of genes, you can see they're visible, of diabetes and obesity. And later on, after combining all the data, we have tried to find the genes which are corresponding to both obesity and diabetes. Now I would like to call my teammate Arvind Preet to proceed further.
Okay, thank you, Manik. So after finding the 16 candidate genes, which were common among type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and obesity, we made the interaction map using Phenolizer, and these are the results. After that, we had seen the interaction among the 16 genes in gut microbiome. For that, we used HPIDB and Intech databases, all in order to check the interaction, and also in order to check the microbiota and its related disorder. We used gut M disorder, and we had found ubiquitin enzyme E2E3, which has shown interaction with OSPG, which is found in Shigella flexneri. It is the gut bacteria which is responsible for diarrhea in humans. After that, we did docking studies between ubiquitin conjugating enzyme E2E3 with OSPG. The structure of UBE2E3 is not available. For that, we made the model using Swiss model, and then we mined the active site using the literature for both the proteins, and then we did docking using HEDOC. This is the interaction between both the proteins. This blue one is UBE2E3 and green is OSPG, and the HEDOC score for this is -121.0. And our future goal is to standardize this workflow using Galaxy and acknowledge all my team members, Yo, Baroness, Malvika, Amy, and special thanks to all my mentors Anshu Bardwaj, Prashant Purvajala, and Harpreet Singh. And thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.
Perfectly on time. If you can stop sharing. Let me try if I can do it for you. Great. Let's show some love. Great job. Thank you so much. I'm going to move on to our next speakers. DNA Analyzer team, Masako and Teresa.
Hello, today we want to talk about the Danalyzer, a metagenomics game for citizens. But first I want to introduce us. Masako and me, we will give this presentation today, but we are part of the street science community. And the street science community want to communicate science by showing its beauty. And we did this already with our Beer Decoded project, where citizens can extract the DNA of beer samples, sequence it, and analyze the DNA sequences to find out what kind of yeasts are inside this beer sample. We gave 2 days workshops for this and created all kinds of materials like this depiction, which is done by Berenice. Our workshops were always great experience, hands-on, all together in one lab, but of course this is not possible anymore. Apart from Corona and the whole situation, we wanted to develop a project which is more available and accessible for a broader audience. And we also wanted to have a project where scientists and citizens can mutually help each other. And therefore we came up with the idea of a game, and Masako will tell you now more about it and what we tackled in the mentoring program.
So for the roadmap, we first established a project, then thought about a storyline that would fit the metagenomic data. Then we want to implement the game, and we want to decide on criteria to score or evaluate the results of the metagenome analysis. And so first, I would like to show you how we defined the structure of the game. So we divided it into 3 steps. In the first step, the player can get familiar with the biological background needed. In the hands-on step, the player is guided through the analysis of the beer-decoded data. And in the expert level, the player can analyze their own novel data. So, but what storyline fits metagenomic data? We had a few ideas, and here is one of them. So it's the story of Jeff, and his family has owned a brewery for many generations. And one day he discovers a long forgotten barrel in his beer cellar. And he knew that it had to be his late grandfather's barrel, the best beer Jeff had ever had. So he decides that he wanted to recreate this beer, but what yeast strains does it contain? Can you help Jeff identify the different yeast strains to recreate his grandfather's beer? So this would be one possible story. And now back to Teresa.
So apart from this several stories we developed, we also have our Git repository and some other tasks, but there's still a lot of undone tasks. So I will come now to our to-dos, what we will further on do after the mentoring program. So we want to extend our stories and get more feedback from teachers and hopefully also pupils. We would like to engage more with the Galaxy community to get hints on how to better implement the game, and also gaming experts to gamify it and make it more fun for the users. And one of our main parts we want to focus on next is the connection between science and the society. And we thought we can tackle this very nicely through the scoring. I guess you all wonder if you have data. So our final goal is that scientists can apply their data within our game and get it analyzed by the gamers. And the issue here is if you have data and you don't know the outcome, how to score an analysis. So our idea is to elevate the gamers to experts so they can evaluate the analysis of another gamer. And by collecting all of this analysis, and we will generate a score which goes back to the researcher and gives it feedback on the data analysis. So whether the data analysis and the evaluations were in agreement or not, should you repeat the data analysis, should you repeat an experiment? And we hope with this, we really have a flow of help and information between science and the society. So our gamers of the game. And with this, we are at the end of our presentation, but we would like to thank, of course, the whole OLS3 team for providing this great mentor program. A huge thank you to Yvonne, our mentor, who helped us structuring and tackling our project. Berenice, who was there from the first idea to now, always helping. Adam, who gave us great feedback on our stories. Clemens, who gave us feedback on a teacher perspective. We achieved funding from the University of Freiburg to hire part-time students. So this will really help us. Thanks a lot. And of course, all of you, thank you. It was a great experience and we are really happy to be part of this cohort. Thanks a lot.
Amazing. This is such a creative project as well. Let's give them a round of applause. All right. We are going to move on to the next speakers, and that's Reina and Alexander from La Conga Physics.
Hi, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Let me just then start. Okay, so I will be talking about La Conga Physics, that stands for Latin American Alliance for Capacity Building in Advanced Physics. And this is a project that has a long history. We have been working together for a long time. And the story is the following. So experimental particle physics and advanced physics in the region in Latin America has been developing a lot in the last 20 years, but the development has been heterogeneous. Like from one country to another is very different, the amount of resources that are available for person power, but also instrumentation wise. So there are many groups that are small, but have a lot of potential, students that are very interested and people that are very interested in working on these topics. So when we become together, we are stronger, right? Together we can create larger projects and have more impact. So this is how the La Conga Physics was created, which is an European Latin American virtual research and teaching network, which aims to support the modernization of the institutions that are participating in the project. So we want to modernize the university infrastructure, but also the pedagogical offer, the courses that are offered in advanced physics in 4 Latin American countries. So this is an Erasmus Plus project and is co-financed by the European Union. We have 11 universities, 3 in Europe and 8 in Latin America, and we have 13 institutions, like scientific institutions, but also industrial partners. Now, from a practical point of view, La Conga Physics has created a set of master courses in advanced physics that in total amount to 1-year program. And one important thing is that this program is common and is interinstitutional. So the 8 institutions in Latin America, the students from the 8 institutions, they are receiving the same program. And they are supported by the installation of interconnected instrumentation laboratories and an open learning platform. So the important point is that the students are located in different parts geographically, but students from Venezuela can access the data sets and the instruments that are installed in Ecuador, or the students that are in Peru they can access the data set and analyze the data set that are collected in Colombia, for example. So the main thematic axis of this one-year program is the following: theory, instrumentation, and data science. And this is very innovative in the region because most of the time the programs in master level, they only focus on theory. So we are also focusing in data science and instrumentation because we want to promote the open science values. We want to create a dynamic and international community trained in open science. And we also want that all the resources, all the classes, all the presentations that we are creating, they are available for use, reuse, and distribution. So leaving alone like the advanced physics part, we really want to create a community or a philosophy of working that can work for other areas of science. So this idea of working internationally, working in collaborative environment. Now, this project actually started officially in 2020. The first year was preparation, syllabus development, e-learning platform, and the first cohort of students, we have 70 students starting in February 2021. So our community is large. We are like 20 people working on La Conga, but it's also an ambitious project. So that means that there are many things to do. When we started OLS, we already had some discussion around metadata and code of conduct and community building, but nothing was like concrete. Still, we had a head start. Now, Alex will tell us what we did with OLS.
Hi, everyone. Now that you know our project, we want to mention what we have earned thanks to OLS. First, OLS gave access to our work, especially in the area of open science. In these weeks, we also find motivation and pace to move forward. We met an amazing community of like-minded people to discuss and enrich each other. More in practice, we established a metadata framework for our content according to FAIR guidelines. We build a clear path for the people who join our community, trying to facilitate their work and their incorporation to the project. And finally, with OLS, we finally have a version for a data management plan and a code of conduct for our community. We also have amazing community calls to discuss FAIR principles, licenses, and community building in areas like Latin America. Thanks to the OLS program and its network, we also applied for a funding for a hackathon that we are carrying out in the next few months. We want to take the opportunity to thank our mentor, Laura, and from her, we want to highlight two things. First, that open doesn't mean always public, and one for life, perfect is the enemy of the good. Next, please. Now, I'm thinking in the next steps for La Conga project. We are excited to welcome new teachers and new students in the near few days. We also must implement our metadata framework more in the technical part. And thinking in the long term, we want the project to go beyond the 3 initial years. We want to be more sustainable. And last but not least, next please. We want to thank the following projects for inspiring us and for helping us. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Amazing work. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to this wonderful. And I was saying that in addition to really great presentation, Alex looks like he's talking from the future. We're going to move to the next speaker from Biofirm Project, Olail. Do we have? Yeah. Go for it. That looks perfect.
Hi, everyone. My name is Olaile Ejeku, and I'm a student in chemical engineering in South Africa. And my project was called Biofirm. It's a web application for kinetic modeling and estimation of kinetic parameters in bioreactors. And I was mentored by Renato Alves. So my motivation behind this project was to build an easy user interface, which is openly available and designed specifically for bioreactor modeling processes. So the alternative would be the use of MATLAB, which is expensive, or Python or Excel, which have a steep learning curve. However, Biofirm, which was built using openly available packages, using various libraries such as Plotly for plotting, SciPy, which is used for solving mathematical problems, Pandas, which was used for data analysis and manipulation, and Streamlit, which was used to build the web application. So the project can be used to make kinetic models, simulations, as well as parameter estimations. And the data the user inputs would be their experimental data, which is at the top there, state variables, and various kinetic parameters. So when you log onto the application, it looks something like this, whereby you have, you can see a full page with a sidebar. So the sidebar allows you to pick the type of project and reactor configuration you'd like to use. And then you can also find a help page with help on it. The main page has where you can pick your reactants you'd be working with and your products. Next, there'll be a place where you can drag and drop or upload your data. And based on your data, you can pick columns which you would be able to do calculations on. And this is much easier than the alternative, which would be Excel, which takes a longer time to do this. So next, it would give you a generic curve fit as well as the curve equation. And you can also pick your kinetic model based on inbuilt model equations, which can be selected by the user and which can also be added to at a future date and built upon through collaboration and contribution. So you can also do simulations. So this gives you a graph of your kinetic model once you're done with it. And you can also do simulations based on various parameters which the user can input. So the outcome of the OLS program was firstly getting to know more about open community and open thinking, as well as thinking about openness and contribution of the project. The contribution in the form of addition of models from other configuration that other people may have worked with, and also to specify the target audience, which was students, researchers, and teachers, and organizing the project management skills were also important. And we learned a lot about GitHub, as well as I got a working prototype of the app. So the problems I've encountered were hosting online or finding an easy way to download and use the application. Right now, you need to have those various Python programs installed onto your computer. So the next step forward would be to get feedback from early users of the prototype, instructional videos on how to use the web application, as well as addition of more models and addition of other minimizers for parameter estimation, and also expand the GitHub README. So I would like to thank my mentor, Renato Alves, for his guidance, and as well as the organizers of OLS. Yeah, if you would like to get in contact, my email and links are there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's give her a round of applause. So the next speaker is Nihan, and then I'll hand it over to you for the last talk.
So can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So hi, I am Nihan Sultan. I'm a master's student at the university in Turkey. I also worked in a molecular biology lab at a research institute. So my project is called MBio, open collaborative website in the field of molecular biology. Just at the beginning of my academic way, I reviewed the problems that I encountered as a young researcher, or what I need while doing science. So yes, I need to read lots of papers. I need open educational resources in the field of molecular biology, and also open lab protocols because I'm working in a lab. So the idea of designing a website where I can bring all this together came out. So I applied with my project idea, which is MBio. So basically my goal is to build an open educational resource on molecular biology, and to do this by designing a website. Here are my proposals to achieve this goal. Sometimes you may not be able to find free time to read papers, or you may prefer to get the main idea instead of a book of information. So I provide summary of scientific articles which I read to make it easy for you. And I'm sharing my lab protocols. As I told you, I'm working in a molecular biology lab, and I told with my supervisor, we decided to share our lab protocols in this website. Also, I am using many open resources during my work, and I share some website links and provide brief information here that can be used by those at the beginning of the way, like me. So I'm providing some useful links, especially for molecular biologists. And actually, main purpose was to make this website open collaborative. So I add a section for commenting. So let's take a quick look at the website. So this is actually my website, and it's the kind of blog. I use GitHub, Git pages, and developed it. So in the category section, we have these sections that correspond to what I explained in the previous slide, actually. So here you can find the summary of papers. We are interested in developmental biology as a lab, so it seems I will add papers which are mostly related with developmental biology at first. And we have lab protocols and some useful links to find free tools and resources. This website is an open platform for anyone who's willing to contribute. So you can comment, share ideas, and discuss. That's why we have discussion board. Here is the place for commenting about science, which make this website open collaborative. Additionally, you can just click and go to the post and read and comment. You might also get information about my project by clicking on project icon. Yes, as a main goal, this website should be based on collaborative approach. Make this website is an open collaborative, actually was provided by using utterances. It's an open source, and it's using GitHub issues. When you write a comment under posts, it's directing you to GitHub and saving what you write in there. There are some other sources like Discuss, but you will have to pay at some point. So we explored other options and prefer to use utterances. So we have comment boxes under all posts, but especially discussion board, which is made for sharing new ideas, opening new questions, and talking about it, and developing new collaborations among users. So if I actually sum up my OLS journey, there was a project idea in my mind before I started this journey. To be honest, as a young researcher at the beginning of the long way of science, I learned that what actually open science is and the right way of doing science. Here we had best examples in different fields. That's why it was a good opportunity for us to see what other folks are doing. I learned the steps and the rules of developing an open project or open your ongoing or finalized projects. In addition to all this, mentor-mentee meetings, so to have chance to meet with great experts, to attend cohort calls, and for sure to become a member of OLS community are great opportunities provided by OLS. So I would like to, this is actually what I want to present. I would like to thank to OLS team for awesome cohort calls and giving this opportunity to me. And also I would like to thank to my mentor, Mike. He is very mentioned and supported me from the beginning till the end. And many thanks our experts, Renato and Toby. We had super helpful meetings with them. So thank you all. Thank you for your attention. Yeah, this is actually a beginning project. As I mentioned, I will be very happy if you're interested in molecular biology or willing to collaborate with me to improve this website. Thank you for your attention.
Wonderful. Call for action is always a good way to end. Thank you so much, Nihan.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Let's give a round of applause. And we are reaching towards the end. Yo, would you like to share the last one?
Amazing. Okay, last but absolutely not least, Annalie, are you ready to talk about the Croatian American Social Memory Repository?
Hi, y'all. Yeah, I am. I'm going to be pulling it up right now. All right, sharing my screen. Oh, it says I have to open my system's preferences. Hold on.
No sweat, it'll be good.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to email you guys it right now. Let me try it again.
Good plan.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. Sharing, can y'all see it?
Looks good.
All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to your last talk of the day, coming to you live from the Midwest of Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. My name is Annalie Sekulic. I'm currently not affiliated with any institution, but I am running the PPE distribution and COVID response as a service year for the state of Ohio. So it's been a kind of a wild year graduating from undergrad, but wanting to keep my foot in the door for graduate school applications whenever that may return to normal. Alas. So first shout out to Kate Simpson. She's my mentor. She's been awesome. She lives on a boat in London. You should follow her blog if you really want to carry on with some really interesting ideas and lifestyles. It's super amazing. So let me get started. So my project was based on an idea I had to apply to grad school with back in 2020 about the Croatian American 1992 social memory repository. So we'll go forward. So the first question we should have is, I want to help future historians and scholars understand the past from the voices and the eyes of those who lived it. So today we're making history and people are living their lives. And we want to capture these journeys so that in the future, we can actually have everybody's stories be told equally and equitably. So I think open life science is the best way to make that possible, having everybody collaborate and to create an open science repository for all people around the world to submit their takes, their videos, their memories, their audio tapes, their lived experiences. We all have our phones. We all have the ability to get on, record it. But how can we connect it and how can we bring it together? The point of this is to be able to act as a skeleton for other communities around the world and around the globe to share, store, and sustain their own stories. So some big picture ideas I have is the ideas of diaspora, cultural identity, not being static. And when people leave, what happens to their social and heritage, their cultural memories? So if we can able to collect like this idea of a social memory, of a collective group of ideas, and be able to document it in a way that future generations can kind of look at it and take our own words and be able to analyze that in particular. So as an anthropologist, we must always find out our very niche line, and mine is the involvement of the Croatian Americans in 1992, the Homeland War. It was Yugoslavia, the Iron Curtain was falling. We could go all into that. I'm Croatian, so we'll save that for another 5-minute talk. So I wanted to project this as there's already people doing this. That's the first thing, is you never really want to remake the wheel, but you want to look at what everybody's doing. So I want to do some shout outs to all of these different organizations which let me bug them and poke their ear as I kind of pioneer through this open life science intersection with humanities oral history repository. And so shout out to Windrush. They are capturing stories. There's some shots about them. They explore race and migration. So instead of like looking at what I'm looking at with, which is more ethnicity and migration and cultural groups, they're looking more at the identity of the cultural groups in terms of race. And they have an online repository and teaching lessons based on it as well. Also, the University of Southern California, the Shohan Foundation also does that, but also for the Holocaust memories and the diaspora from World War II. So there's already people doing this. I'm just trying to make this to be a little bit more accessible, making sure that we can use it and making sure that we can have everybody tell their stories in a really easy and open way. So my expectations from OLS3 were I was kind of confused. My advisor said, hey, look at this. You should check this out. This will keep you kind of thinking, kind of engaging, and it will expand your knowledge. And that's exactly what it did. Learn, grow, and connect. And in the back of my head, I was like, whoa, I started learning about AI. I started learning about data feminism, and all of this stuff, which made sense, started to come together. So my expectations were to learn, grow, and connect. And I think I hit all 3 of those. But I had to also set a project, and I had to set these pillars, which I had to make. So I had to really think through how to make these ideas reality. So the first idea was the development of a repository, somewhere where people can read, submit, and kind of get the idea of the project. Number 2 would be the having the testimonies be submitted, and after that, have them be able to be retrieved. The first part was the development of the repository. This is where I really got my feet on the ground and get going from it. And this is coming from GitHub. I'm an anthropologist and social science kid. We never touched GitHub with a 6-foot pole. And it's now the only thing I'm able to bring up with like these engineering guys at bars is GitHub, and we're able to talk about it now. But I've also gained a sort of command, control, and confidence over this new interface, and have been able to see the potential for future projects. I've also, through this program, been able to implement the use of Google Forms and Google Drive, and as well as build interfaces using the GitHub skeletons for pages. So I'm able to actually now present my research, share the ideas in a more user-friendly way. Some of my key accomplishments and understandings were not only the web page, understanding the code of conducts, learning how to link web pages, doing background coding. Never touched coding again with a 6-foot pole until this time. And I think these are really practical skills to have to get a project off the ground and rolling. Some issues I ran into is ethics. So how do you consent? How do you develop consent for people's stories and their memories, especially in a world where data is easily bought and sold? We are not a private institution. We don't have any checks and balances in that, but that's the point of being open. So there's these whole ideas and these conversations, and I had a lot of great discussions with people throughout the time, and it comes through really fleshed out code of conduct, really fleshed out privacy, and really fleshed out consent forms, and thinking through those and thinking about how your community personally takes those. In the interview guide as well, pre-war involvement, of current war involvement, and a post-war involvement, a really easy way to link the 3. Here's a couple more looking kind of screenshots about more of the consent forms. Kind of people can immediately submit their videos to the Google Doc itself. So then it gets fed into this Google repository. So we're storing the documents. The only issue I still have right now is figuring out how to present the shared data, and that's kind of the next steps. Let's quickly step forward to our next step so that we don't run out of time. This is also reaching out with local communities to get their submittance and getting their testimonies as well wrapped in. So it's a really exciting time. We were wanting to engage more with mass, looking through mass audio tapes to create a coding device so people can source it easier. So there's a bunch of these ideas which we're looking at, and there's a lot of things more to come. So I just want to wrap up with a huge thank you, guys. Thank you to everybody on this call. Thank you to everybody who sat through and is here, not just for the mind, the heart, and the community, but as an anthropologist to all you techies and bios out there. My favorite anthropologist once said, Margaret Mead, she says, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So with that, I say, I can't wait till the next cohort. I can't wait to keep thinking. Thank you, guys.
Wow, what a beautiful quote to end our last presentation on. Okay, thank you so much, Annalie. Thank you everyone who has stuck around for this mega long call. It has been such a beautiful journey, and I think I've nearly cried about 5 times through these beautiful presentations. There are probably 2 or 3 more to come in terms just of people who may have not been able to make any of these calls, but in essence, this is it. This is OLS 3 and we are done, and you have been beautiful, amazing people. We're going to get our certificates out to you. We're going to start advertising OLS 4, and don't say strangers, come talk in the Slack, be awesome. We love you. And I think with that, folks, we are out. Have a great day.
So amazing. We're gonna go and cry a little bit. That was wonderful.
Okay. You're all free. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop that stream.